Welcome to the podcast, guys. Today we'll be talking about Japan and World War II. First of all, I'd like to introduce our members today: Jean,
Sup?
Zainan,
Yo.
Yunus,
Sup?
Batuan,
Hello.
and last but not least, me, Amir. World War II, everybody knows about it, right?
Yup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't probably know the every detail for each country, right? Probably not. You guys usually just learn the important stuff for tests and don't really care about specific details. They're not really important in tests and stuff.
I mean, that pretty much sums me up. Too interested in it, but I'm open to learning about it today.
Well, today you're gonna do exactly that. We're gonna talk about Japan during World War II, everything related about Japan and its people. Let's
Whoa! Anime!
let's just jump right into it. During World War II, every country had its own problems. For instance, Japan and the Nazis, they actually were allies, but anyways. The Soviet Union against every country, and lots of other ones. Of course, most of them were the same, but there were little things that mattered and made the country unique. And Japan was one of those countries. It wasn't exactly the same as any other country in World War II and had different problems than most of the other countries.
What do you mean by different problems? I mean, every country has the same problems after war, like starvation and death.
Well, how about this? I ask the questions and you guys answer. Firstly, how do you guys think World War II affected Japan?
Same as any country.
Bad.
I heard that it severely affected their country because of bombings or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It was really bad. There were daily bombings and there were many battles done on their doorsteps. Meanwhile, in the USA, it was the opposite. How do you think this affected the Japanese?
Finally, I can answer this. When Japan commenced their attack on China in 1937, the government was ultra-nationalized and was in strict control by the government, which meant,
What does this have to do?
well, think about it. The press and radio frequencies were under complete government control, which meant that everyone felt like they were being watched. Everyone was working on pins and needles.
Before you continue, let me stop you. Many things happened to the citizens, but what do you think changed in their daily lives because of World War II?
Great Depression.
I mean, that might be out of context, but what is that?
The Great Depression was a worldwide economic depression that lasted a decade. Because of it, unemployment rose, homelessness increased, and mainly international trade collapsed by 65%. This mainly happened, it started in USA, but other countries were severely affected too.
Oh, I see.
Great Depression caused an increase in poverty and subsequently an increase in militaristic power. But in the end, because of an increase in military power and thanks to a guy named Takahashi Korekiyo, Japan made an early.
Also, at the time, men were drafted into military or labor roles, while women would sew clothing and write letters to boost morale.
I mean, no one is gonna talk about the bombings. Almost 6 million people had to leave the cities and go to the countryside because of it. It was America who started directly firebombing Japan. This was the moment when Japanese citizens stopped believing the lies that they were winning the war and etc. And the worst things that you couldn't grumble about it because if you did, you would be assassinated.
So, in a nutshell, their daily lives were somewhat like today's North Korea, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Much?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, what do you think had the most negative impact on Japan? This might be actually controversial.
Well, it might be controversial, but personally, I believe the fact that everyone else felt like they were being watched and there was no freedom between the citizens, or just like, citizen and government, the trust kind of dissolved and it really had a negative impact even on today's Japan.
Why would it have to do with today's Japan?
Let's not talk about the rape of Nanking.
Oh, yeah, true.
Well, I don't know, but I think the nuking were the worst. I mean, who would want war in front of their houses, right? And everyday bombing like it's raining? That's pretty bad and sad. Because of that, they had to move to the countryside, and probably many people died and became homeless. And because of Pearl Harbor, Japanese Americans were also forced in camps called internment camps, and where they were like treated very bad.
To be honest, I don't think this has anything to do with Japan.
I mean, it doesn't, but it's this and the so I don't know. It's worth saying so.
Also, apparently at the time, money didn't really matter. So even if you had money, you couldn't buy yourself out of doing labor or just doing basic stuff that other people would do. Everybody was equal. Like even buying a single egg was a really valuable thing those days.
Dang, those are some really good ideas. I said with you, Zaina, there were really bad things going on, but I too believe that the bombings were the worst. After all, who would want war in front of their houses? So this was really sad. Let's just try to cheer it up, maybe. Do you guys think that there were any changes that were welcome?
What are you on
Wait,
about?
wait. Well, actually, a little irony, but the Japan actually did good by bombing Pearl Harbor.
What?
What?
What? Huh?
Are you
Look,
serious?
look, listen.
What, man?
Because they bombed Pearl Harbor, they made USA realize that battleships were worthless.
Alright.
And what I mean by that is that they made USA come to terms with modernity. And guess what? In return, USA did the same. They also made Japan enter the modern era. The military government, militaristic expansion, emperors were all gone. They started being more like a Western government, which made them slowly rebuild, and they got more by losing the war than actually winning it.
Well, but even I couldn't process all that. But that's actually a good idea by you, and I actually liked it. Talking about changes, what were the changes that were only for the duration of the war? Try to give that ideas that were not really mentioned before.
I believe that we can talk about unemployment and work. Because of the lack of men, women were needed for work. So millions of them had to work in industrial sectors like aircraft manufacturing, electrical factories, and textiles.
Of course, there are a lot of changes that happened in the duration of World War II, but there's no need to repeat ourselves, right? We already stated most of them, and I don't think there are any specific ones that we missed out on. Last but not least, I want to talk about post-war Japan with you guys. Amaze me.
So, like, as many other countries, Japan was devastated, but probably in a bigger way. All the large cities, except Kyoto, were severely damaged. Shortage of food continued for several years. USA occupied Japan from August 1945 until April 1952. In a nutshell, Japan basically lost all of its territory. Some of them were given back, like Okinawa, though the territorial dispute about the Kuril Islands with Russia has not been resolved yet.
Also, this might be a bit dark, but since in Japanese tradition, surrendering is considered a very big dishonor to the people and men, general men, of course, as samurai. It's said that over 500 military officers committed seppuku, which is a Japanese version of suicide, after they surrendered.
Wait, why do we not talk about Japan surrendering? Like, what happened?
Oh yeah, Japan surrendered because of nuclear weapons and because the Soviet Union entered the war. Though the leader said that the bombs forced them to surrender because it was less embarrassing than saying that they surrendered because of atomic bombs.
The Emperor Showa also lost all political and military power, but he was not declared a war criminal. Japan was also forbidden to ever lead an army.
And the development part, Japan's self-defense wars, was established in 1954. Japan's relations to the Soviet Union were normalized in 1956, the ones to China in 1972. And because of the oil crisis in 1973, there was a shift to high technology industries.
Yo, also because of the high death, there were like many women who were left widowed, and because of that, they went to the USA as colonizers and married American men. They had to. They had no other chance. They're called the Japanese war brides. They went there in 1950s without knowing no one and not being able to speak English. It's really sad and unfortunate.
Well, I guess that wraps it up, guys. And I would like to ask the class right now if they have any questions about the podcast, to please refer to our counterparts in the class.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Hope you liked our
and-
podcast.
Thanks for watching.
And
Yeah.
see you next time.
When Japan commented their attacks on China in 1937, wait,
Today we'll be talking about Japan in World War II. First of all, I did. Oh, well.
Japan!
Zainal,
What's up?
Yunus,
sup?
What the?
What the On to Jean,
What's up?
Yunus,
Hello.
Yeah.
Jean,
Hello.
Yunus.
Hello. Hello.
Yo, man,
World
nah.
War On to Yunus.
Hello.
You-
Ananızın amını s**eyim.
Yunus.
Hello.
Huh?
Oh my.
Hello.
Fat cock. Hello?
Yunus.
Hello.
Yeah.
Zamir, and we have as guests.
I'm Yunus. Ananın amını. Ne yarram?
Ananı kudurmuş.
I'm Yunus.
Everyone is like so clear and then.
Ax Zeynel.
I'm Yunus.
Yo, Yunus. Yeah.
Today we'll start talking about Japan in World War. Wala. Give it on towards Pasha Khan now.
Man, it's you need to.
Introduce ourselves. My name is Amir Fadil, and we also have today as guests.
Dildo.
I not change my.
Ananı amın.
I swear.
Today we'll be starting a podcast.